Hello.
What's up, Jake?
What's up, Josh?
Dude, man, turtle and back escapes. Curious to hear your thoughts on this. Especially in Nogi, when I'm starting to get past, I just primarily just start turtling. And I think I just have the habit of like turning in and like turtling or turning away and turtling. And not regarding a bunch. But anyway, that leads me to a lot of positions where I'm either trying to stand up and disconnect, or if I start getting shut down there, what ends up happening is I start getting broken down to a hip from turtle, and then slowly they start trying to take my back, and I end up in a lot of these weird positions where they haven't fully taken my back. Maybe they got one hook in, maybe they're starting to crucifix, and I'm like sliding down. Um, yeah, so I get stuck in a lot of defense from turtle essentially, and I'm curious, yeah, what your thoughts are on helping me out here.
Well, cool. Usually we start out with me talking or asking you like what your current strategy is from that position as like a starting point. So I guess from turtle, what is your current like mindset when you're trying to escape?
Yeah, I think I have three things I do. One is like if they don't have their hands connected yet,
Mm,
then I really try to fight the hands and do the whole Craig Jones like just stand up thing. Get one knee up and then start breaking their hands away and like running away, basically. Reboot the system. Then I just go pull guard again. But that's beside the point. The second strategy, if they start connecting their hands or really like spiral ride or like trying to break me down really well, I try not to fall to a hip and start getting my back taken. And so the only two other things I do is like if they're high on me and they have like a seatbelt or something, I try to shrug them off
mhm.
and end up in top position. And then if not, if they're kind of to the side of me, sometimes I grab their leg and I do this like roll and
Nice.
I
Yeah.
try to hold their leg up and try to end up in top position, kind of like with my back on their chest in this like
Mhm.
weird scrambly position. But yeah, all those to varying degrees and whatnot. But
Cool. Okay. So let's see. So if their hands are not connected, would probably be like the most like ideal. Right. So like, you say like right now you're trying to just like basically run away. Um, the thing that comes to my mind is like generally what you're trying to do is you're trying to disconnect their chest from your back, right? And like a very kind of like a not ideal way of doing this would be like you kind of sitting to your hip and then them getting like top chest to chest half guard or like top mount or something like this. Like this would be like you escaping turtle in quotation marks, but like you're still in a pretty bad position, right? But theoretically you've gotten there. Um chest to back connection, you've separated that, right? So you've like escaped turtle. So when their hands are separated, like ideally you're just trying to like turn to face them as opposed to trying to like run away, if that makes sense. Um Let me see actually if I can find an example to show you. We're gonna try this out. So like if someone has like a thigh pry, nope, and you're trying to escape turtle, um, see how this dude has that thigh pry, and then he takes the hand out
mhm.
and kind of stuffs it and then turns to face him. So like you're trying to make it so they can't grab your hips pretty much and then turn to face like really quick. Instead of like running directly away, you're trying to turn to face. Um yeah, I guess that's the only example. But yeah. So that's the idea though. Is like if their hands are not connected, you're trying to clear it and then like turn to face them as opposed to just like running directly away. So yeah, that's kind of the first thing that kind of came to my mind when you were talking about that. And then we can dive into more of like when their hands are connected. Um, but yeah, I'll just stop there and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I really like what you brought up about the concept of just trying to break their chest to back connection. And
Mhm.
this just clearly shows my beginner mindset still in moves. Like this is the move and this is the move and this is the move that I try. But what's common amongst those three is removing that chest to back connection. That thigh pry example made me think that when you're attacking turtle or attacking the back, I guess you're using your limbs, your connections to maintain chest to back connection as the primary like priority, I guess, as the attacker,
Yeah.
and upgrading your limb connections to two hooks, one hook from one hook to two, or from seatbelt to double unders, or whatever. So I guess maybe from the bottom, the concept is, can you remove all those limbs and turn to face as the
Yeah.
priority?
Yeah, you don't have to remove all of them. You just have to remove the ones that prevent you from turning to face, if that makes sense. So, like, if you can force them into a situation where they have like their underhook, and like even if they have like one hook in, but their underhook and one hook are on the same side of your body, then you can still turn. Like they have no ability to prevent you from turning. So you're trying to free up like one side of your body so then you can rotate.
Yeah,
Is pretty much like the goal. That's what I think about.
gotcha.
Yeah,
From the attacker's perspective, it seems like that cross body control is like the minimum. Maybe like
exactly.
good, perfect examples like the thigh pry and the
Like claw grip kind
yeah,
of thing
that
would be
claw.
like the classic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Huh. Or one hook on this side, but you have the other shoulder controlled somehow.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, you
Um,
basically just cannot allow those two on you
yes.
at any point.
Yeah. And the idea would be like as you're building height, you're gaining like athleticism, but you can't use that athleticism until you free up your ability to rotate. So you're trying to like build base while you're clearing one side of your body, and then you can like turn really quickly, if that makes sense. Whereas if you're broken down and then you're like, oh, I've cleared my like this side of my body, I'm broken down, now I can turn. That's when you end up in like chest or like mount or something like that because you've turned, but now you're still pinned, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. So ideally, you can do this while you're building height, so you don't end up pinned after you rotate.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
How about dealing with the situation where you're a little bit too late now and they got you broken down to a hip? Maybe they have a seatbelt and one hook, whether it's the top or bottom. I find myself in this position a lot, even from turtle to get one hook in. And I'm trying to peel that other hook off. So they're kind of hanging off, but they're fighting to get it back in. And now they're breaking me down to a hip. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Now we're kind of getting more into like back defense.
right,
Almost like a
right.
little bit of a gray area, you know. Um. So yeah, it's kind of more like how do you escape the like back? Pretty much is kind of what we're asking when they haven't like fully controlled the back. Maybe they just have like some control.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's so many variables, like, it's hard to say, like, do this, do that, but, like, generally, like, it depends on, like, their, like, upper body grips, like, are they on the underhook side or the overhook side? Um, do they have their top hook in? Do they have their bottom hook in? Because it kinda dictates on which way you can roll, but, like, I guess, like, we could start talking about back stuff, but, like, generally, like, from the underhook side, it's going to be hard for you to get your back down to the mat because they have their like underhook on the bottom. And when you're trying to get your back down to the mat, you're generally like aligning your chin more with their elbow of their strangle arm. So it's a bit risky, I think, to try and get your back to the mat when they're on the underhook side. So like generally I would say like underhook side, you're trying to like do a turning escape, and then overhook side, you're trying to get your back down towards the mat would be like a general idea. Um, yeah. I don't know if that's helpful from, like, the turtle situation, but, like, that's kinda what I think about, and then, like, theoretically, like, you know that, like, two-on-one escape where you, like from the overhook side, typically, you grab their strangle arm, bring it around your head, and then now you get your back to the mat?
Hmm.
Like, from the underhook side, their strangle arm is gonna be on top. So if you bring it to the bottom, now that's great. You basically limited their ability to strangle you, but it's gonna be very hard for you to get your back to the mat because now you can't go that way because they have their underhook and now they have their other arm there too. So
Yeah.
this would be a situation where you bring their arm around, and then you switch sides, you try and bridge and get to the overhook side, so now your back can get to the mat kind of thing.
Yeah.
So again, you're trying to like figure out how to get to a position where you can rotate effectively, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, it's interesting where like effectively is someone attacking turtle versus attacking back. Seems like rotation is involved in both in terms of escaping, but with turtle, you're combining rotation with basing,
Yeah.
and then with back, you're like mostly relying on rotation and getting the limbs out of the way, it
Yeah.
seems.
Yeah, you kind of have to rotate before you can base, like when you're escaping from the back, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Your rotation is so that you can start to push off the mat and like build
right.
base, you know? Whereas the from turtle it kind of starts with base and then you can go rotation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good uh concept for me to focus on when defending from turtle or back is rotate and base versus base and then rotate.
Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, the other thing you talked about from turtle is like trying to shake them off a bit.
Hmm.
Um and yeah, I'm curious like when you're shaking them off, do they just tend to like fall off or do you tend to get like broken down with them or like what tends to happen when you like 4 point you're trying to shake them off?
Yeah. In an ideal world, usually what makes me want to shake them off is if they have a seatbelt grip,
Yeah.
and then I try to shake them off that side. I've been getting a little better at tucking my chin because I've felt that choke come on a lot since then.
Yeah.
But a few things happen. Usually they best case scenario, they just kind of shake off and now I'm like in their like half guard or like some kind of an open guard situation. That's like best
Okay.
case scenario. Sometimes they start attacking this arm bar as I'm shaking them off.
Hmm.
And then sometimes they attack a triangle when I'm shaking them off. And then I've even had someone grab my leg and like do this
Yeah.
crazy whatever knee bar
That like
hinge.
stretch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened to me. I think twice now. And I'm not very flexible, so it's a quick tap for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll share this with you. I just asked our before we hopped on. I said we were gonna do something about turtle.
Hmm.
So I asked like I'm doing a podcast about turtle. Can you provide some key points I should discuss? And it talked about effective use of collar ties. And I didn't know what it was talking about, like, even this description's not that clear, but if you watch it, you could see, like, Craig's four-pointing, and he doesn't have a seatbelt, right? It
Oh
still has
yeah.
double underhooks, but he uses this call he, like, shakes him off just enough to get control of his head, and then he uses that to try and pull him off, if that makes sense.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I thought, that might be helpful, and then this example in a more, like, live situation. And you can see Mika doesn't have his hooks in or anything, so it's kind of like a bit, yeah, but you can see the grabbing the head and kind of forcing them off might help, um, that situation. So you're basically four pointing to get access to their head, and then you use that head control to help flip them off, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, I never tried that before.
Yeah.
That's cool. For people listening who can't see the video, it's basically like, yeah, you're four pointing, you're shaking them off, but then you reach behind you, you grab the back of their neck and top of their head and try to pull them off to help assist in getting them too high on your back and starting to fall off the front side.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Mhm.
Wow.
And then, that would be kind of like building base, like, with your hands first, you know, to get into that like 4 point. The other way would be to, like just standing up and getting into like a rear body lock, you know. Um, so I don't know how your rear body lock defense is. Mine isn't that good, and we should probably preface this by saying like I don't really know what I'm talking about from turtle and like rear body lock and wrestling stuff. I'm just kind of like showing ideas to you to
But
play
you know
with.
a lot more than I do, which is the whole point of this podcast is so I hope it can help people out there who are like me. But yes, we're all figuring it out together.
Do you ever just stand up and get to like a rear body lock?
No, no, where they're
No.
just kind of like on you like a backpack and you're like walking around.
That or if they have like, so if they're on you like a backpack, I think the 4 point would probably be a better solution because, like you talked about, it's probably going to be easier for you to shake them off the top. But if
Yeah,
they go double underhooks, it can be harder to shake them off. And this might be a situation where it might make more sense to like drive your hips more forward and start to like build more like straight up to get to
yeah.
like a rear body lock type
Got it.
situation.
Yeah, rear
Yeah,
body lock where their arms are around your waist and you're both standing.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, this
Yep.
happened to me in my last competition and I got mat returned like bad. Remember
Yeah.
that?
He
And
slammed you
so
pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I don't go there often. I don't really know what to do from that rear body lock position
Yeah.
as a defender.
Yeah. It's something I'm trying to get better at too, so, um, I can just kinda share what I've seen that I'm
Mm.
trying to do, but, like, basically, it comes down to, like, turtle too, like, actually, this might be a good let me see if I can find it again. This is kind of fun, just doing the database stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
For
hopefully
people
it's not too boring.
who are listening and not watching, Jake is live, like going to the database to search up these positions and trying to find examples to give us ideas. So he'll be sharing these on YouTube if you want to check out the videos, and then we can link some of them in the description, any notable ones as well. But yeah, live workshopping it.
Yeah, so like, um, basically, Craig is teaching. Do you know what a switch is?
Uh, I think so, but
Yeah, so the switch is like here, where you like bring your arm inside their leg like that.
yeah.
This is a switch.
Hmm.
So then you could switch and come out the back door like that. That's
Right.
what they call it. So like basically what Craig's talking about is you want to circle away to get them following you. So like you're the one kind of initiating the movement away and they have to follow you and then you go into this switch, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So this is from 4 Point, but kind of the same type of thing, I think, from like the rear body lock. So like if their hips are close to you, they're gonna slam you. Like they can lift you when they bring their hips in really close to you and they can lift you really high, right? But if their hips are backing away, it's gonna be hard for them to lift you. And if their hips are, or I think Craig talks about this too, actually. He talks about where is it at? It's a mm, no,
A
shoot.
victory roll? Huh.
Yeah, it's like it might be rear body lock escape, not. It's when you like roll into the legs, so not rear body lock.
Oh, did I do that accidentally in my match?
Yes, exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
where so if they have a rear body lock and one of your legs is between theirs, and then you roll into a leg entanglement because you have that inside position with your back leg.
Yes. Um, yeah, okay, so here we go. It's Granby roll. But we're close, we're close.
It's almost like a Granby, but you keep one of your feet inside instead of
Yeah,
outside,
so
right?
yeah, basically the key here is he talks about when you're rolling into the legs, you can't do that if their hips are back.
Yeah.
You can only do it when their hips are close to your hips. So you first start out by like bringing your hips forward and threatening to break their grip.
Hmm.
And then as they bring their hips in to deal with you trying to break their grip, that's when you roll into the legs. Or you could do a switch if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Or can you just Granby from there, or is that
you
kind of risky?
you can to Granby you need both your feet on the outside, if
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
So like kind of like you said, like a victory roll would be like kind of like a Granby. It's like a forward roll with one foot on the inside. But with a like a proper Granby roll, you want both your feet on the outside.
Yeah.
But so we were talking about this recently on the so okay, yeah, this is a good one. So hips are relatively close, right?
Hmm.
Which means he's gonna lift. So off the lift, dude like stays heavy, but because the legs are really close, then immediately he goes into that switch.
Whoa.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So like I think the key from the rear body lock is seeing like whether their hips are close to you or away from you. And if their legs are away from you, you try and break their grip. And if their legs are close to you, that's when you threaten like switches and you try and like be prepared for them to lift. You can even like try and lace your leg into theirs to like make yourself like sticky. But
Mhm.
then like as soon as they are no longer lifting you, you can go into either like rolling into the legs or using that switch to escape because their hips are so close. Um, so I like that. And then just while we're on the topic, I thought this was really cool.
So
Yeah.
Jake's
So
searching rear body lock escape on the database. We've got
So this is how Joseph, like if you wanted to do it, you could do like rear body lock escape grip break to see like how they're breaking the grip. So this is kind of relaxed. I don't think Ethan's gonna like slam him too hard, but you can see like I don't think this would necessarily be a good time to start breaking their grip because their hips are so close, if that
right.
makes sense. So like I think if they were going more serious, Ethan might like just slam the crap out of Joseph, you know. Um, but you can see Joseph has one arm right here underneath, and then the other one is pushing down. So the one that's underneath gives him a really good ability to pull up, and the one that's pushing down pushes down. So you like pull push, like really quick, and then this like he breaks the grip.
Yeah.
So that's like been my go-to for like hips. If their hips are away, I'm trying to get one hand in and while the other one pushes and create that like boom to pop their grip. And then you're trying to turn to face. And then if their hips come in, that's when you're like, oh shoot, I'm about to get lifted. And you try and like make yourself heavy, make yourself sticky to them. So when they don't lift you, you're immediately going switch or rolling into their legs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That grip break's really cool. I've never seen that before. Typically, what I've been taught is like they have that rear body lock, and then you kind of hip out and use both your hands to push down to try to break the grip. You're
Yeah.
saying instead of both hands pushing down to break the grip, put one in and or lift one up and push one down.
Yeah, the lift pull, but I've found that like when you're trying to lift without getting like a proper underhook in, it's kind of weak. And like
Okay, okay.
while you're doing that, you're pretty vulnerable to getting like lifted or whatever they're gonna do. So yeah, I really like this grip
So you
break.
purposely will dig an underhook underneath one
Yeah,
and then keep the other one and then break it this way.
yeah, pop it. Yeah.
Whoa, cool. Okay, I've never
Yeah.
seen that either.
Mhm.
That should be fun to play with.
Yeah, it's very
Man, I'm
nice.
afraid to play like rear body lock games. It just seems like the games where it's like, all right, one person try to break them down, one person try to escape. It's just very dynamic and like a lot of throwing and athletic movements and weight flying around. Like it seems a little scary or
Yeah.
dangerous. Are there any safety precautions if there's like two brand new people listening and they want to go try this out?
It would probably be like the classic like Marigali shoulder break. Like if you do get slammed to the mat, don't like post your hand on the
Yeah.
ground or your elbow on the ground. Like generally you fall and then once you fall, then you build up to your elbow or to your hand, but don't like fall on your hand kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing, you know?
totally did that and when I got mat
Yeah.
returned and it yeah, luckily I didn't get hyperextended, but yeah.
Yeah. This would be like probably the biggest thing to worry about other than just like the wear and tear of getting slammed to the mat because you're probably going to be sore the next day if you're training a couple times a week. And then one
Right.
of those training sessions is this type of thing, you know?
Yeah. Another one I heard is like you don't want to like put as the attacker on the back to try to
Mm.
take the person down. You don't want to like sit on their knees like laterally from the side. That kind of
Mm.
motion where you're using your body weight to like drag them down. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to attack from the rear body lock safely. Um, in that way as to not like sit on people's knees.
Yeah. Yeah, like the general idea is like if their leg is like this, you don't want to like sit on the outside of their knee to force them to bend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the way legs are meant to bend. Um, Generally, I think it's hard to do that if your head is behind them, if that makes sense. So if your head is in front, this I think this is what Danaher talks about. Um, if your head is in front of them, like on their chest, and then you try and do some like trip where you're like trying to trip behind their ankle, that's when you risk like sitting into the side of their knee. But if your head is behind them, I think it's very hard to hurt them by
Okay,
doing
cool.
this type of motion. Yeah. So from the rear body lock, as long as your head is on their back, I think you should be relatively safe to try and like foot sweep them or you know do that kind of motion or trip them. But yeah, where you want to be concerned is if your head is in front.
Yeah. Um, man, this is like a separate topic we're going into, but when you are attacking that rear body lock, like let's say sometimes I come up on a single and then I transfer to a body lock instead,
Yeah.
where my head is on their chest. Yeah, I can see how it could be dangerous to just drop your weight down. Now you're just crushing that knee. Like, yeah. So are you rotating back to take them down like cutback style, or are you trying to just get your head to their back now and then attack from a proper rear body lock? Like that's seems like it's such a gray area as well.
Yeah. Um I think so. Yeah, this is kind of a separate topic, but I do think, again, one that I'm not versed on, so like be wary. But um, like my general idea is I try to like either step in front of them. So like if you step in front of them, they call it like a power twist, where you like step in front and kind of like knock them uh, down. I could try and find an example real quick for you. Um,
Kind of shuck them over your shoulder.
this is maybe not the best example, but you could see like he goes into lift, but then his see how basically he's stepped in front of
Yeah,
the dude, and then he kind of like twists him to the mat.
right.
See if I can find another example. So single leg, body lock, tries to step behind, doesn't work. So she steps in front and
Oh,
like knocks her down, and then yeah, exactly. As she recovers, and slams her to the mat. So it's like if her hips are in front of her, or her shoulders are in front of her hips, it's going to be very hard to like do a cutback type motion and put her down on her butt, right? So that's when you step in front, and then as she recovers, her hips and shoulders are relatively like aligned, and this might be a good time to like lift and put her back towards her butt. Does that make
yeah.
sense? So this is like a really good example of like how to combine the two. But generally, it's like you step in front to threaten to put her down like towards her hands, and then from there you can either like directly put her down or work around to a rear body lock in like a 4-point type situation.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Let's see if we can find another example. So that's like a little bit. So yeah, so you use that to go around to the rear body lock. Does that
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you have the body lock in the front, kind of basically like double unders with your hands connected, it seems like there is a fight for that inside leg position. Like you want to get
right.
your leg in between theirs and do that. What do you call it? Power twist?
Yeah, it's called a power twist. That's what I've heard it called. And this is what I've tried to do right here. So you have this standing body lock, step in front, threaten to step in front to do that power twist with the goal of getting them down to this knee.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Hmm.
And then once they get down to this knee, it's hard for them to prevent us from going behind. So now we can start to go behind them. Does this
Whoa.
make sense?
Yeah.
So even if you don't directly complete the takedown, you're just trying to break them down closer and closer to the mat so you can start to use your body lock more effectively.
Yeah.
So it's like step in front to do some type of power twist and then go behind. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
generally, you're doing that because their posture is going to be one where their shoulders are forward and their hips are back. So it's going to be hard to directly take them backwards.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Whereas if they are standing like straight up, you could do like the Gracie combatives, like 101 thing where you like hug them and then like knock them backwards with like a trip or something, if that makes sense. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
No, no, I haven't seen that one.
gotcha.
But
Um, but yeah, that's generally my strategy.
okay.
Again, one that I'm not too versed in, but like that's the general outline of what I try and do.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, all these topics we covered on it today is like pretty great. It's like that turtle back, rear body lock, side body, like all that, whether you're on the floor or we're standing, it all
Right.
kind of looks similar. But
Yeah. It's very dynamic. Like defending from turtle, it's like all of a sudden you go from defending from turtle to like defending a back take or like defending from the rear body lock or defending a standing body. It like happens very quickly, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
totally.
so it is very hard, I think, to give just like a straight answer of how to defend like a single position,
Yeah.
without talking about how to defend like other positions as well that like you said, like lead kind of nicely and kind of have a lot of overlap between each other.
Yeah, it's really interesting to compare that turtle rear body lock-ish position, whether you're standing and like how the hips matter a lot when you're standing because there's a threat of the throw or mat return or lifting versus when you're in that whatever gray area position on the ground and there's no threat of anyone getting thrown, but then the rotation is like what really matters. Huh. Yeah. It's kind of cool to explore like super gray, but from standing to floor to like back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. Maybe the kind of like what we were talking about. Maybe the last thing to say from turtle is like generally they're trying to keep you like in jiu-jitsu at least. I don't know if this is true for wrestling, but like they're trying to keep you like between their knees, so they can ultimately take your back, right? So like you're always trying to create motion where you're trying to get outside their knees and then they're following you. And then as they're following you, that's when you can start to go into different sorts of attacks, like we were talking about with that Craig example,
Yeah.
um, kind of get them following you and then do something off of that.
Right.
Um, and kind of like the same thing, I guess, with the grip break thing. Like if you're trying to break their grip because their hips are back, they're the one that's bringing their hips in, not because they're like, I'm going to slam this dude, but because, oh, shoot, this guy's going to break my grip. So I need to bring my hips in to allow me to connect my hands more securely, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So like they're reacting to you, they're following your motion, you're kind of leading the dance. I think this probably gives you the best chance to escape, but you are in a relatively bad position. So like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Very cool. First time doing the live database search. They say with any products you shouldn't do any live demos because it always fails, but it seemed to have worked pretty well today.
Yeah, we'll work on it too. Um, yeah, I was telling you before this podcast because we're starting to post it on my YouTube channel. We've done was this like a episode 126 or whatever. We've done so many of them, and like we never really prepare for them. It's more of like, hey, what do you want to talk about today? Um, so yeah, I was kind of nervous for this one now that we posted it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, now
Um,
I put you on the spot. More people are seeing it on YouTube. You got the
yeah,
database showing behind the scenes. So, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, hopefully it was helpful. Kind of went down a lot of different different rabbit holes, but yeah. Any other questions that came up?
No, no, I think this covers a lot of that weird gray area, yeah, of attacking the back, whether in the turtle position properly on the floor or standing. So I feel like we covered this area pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like probably two things that'll fit relatively easy into what you're already doing is instead of just trying to run away, try and turn to face more. And then maybe looking for that like reverse collar tie as you're doing the 4 point, trying to shake them off to help you um, get them off your back. Might
Yeah.
be two like low hanging fruit things to add.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I'm gonna try those out. And the switch looks so cool. It looks so cool when they pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. Craig goes into like pretty good detail on how to do it. Like, your pinky should point this way when you're doing it kind of thing. So yeah, I could send you that link to maybe give you a better idea on how to perform it. But yeah, I think that's the basic like framework of when it fits in, when their hips are relatively close to you, um, and their leg is in reach, get them
yeah,
following you a bit and then quickly go into that. Of
yeah. Super cool. Thank you as always.
course. Later, Josh.
See ya.